So, talking a little bit about job postings today, and I've seen this one get reposted. And when I first saw it, I was kind of against this entire concept because, just to give you a little context before we dig into the ad itself, they do put right up front in their posting that this position is intended to facilitate a migration that is going to go live near the end of May 2024. So that alone was like, whoa. And if you combine that with the fact this is a contractual position, yeah, kind of makes you wonder, is your contract going to be done at the end of May, or is it a full 1 year contract? I don't know. But let's dig into the other stuff besides the really awesome contractual, contextual things. So, just so we can look at the actual job itself. So, implementation, maintenance, and support of 17 member libraries. That's actually a moderately large consortium, in my opinion. The closest I got to an actual consortium, though, was working with 6 libraries, but we shared the same system, but we weren't actually like a consortium because we didn't lend amongst each other. You get to work with other team members, thank goodness, and you have to use a ticket system. No big deal there. And there is an incumbent, which I didn't notice when I first read this because I think I was too caught up on the you want to do what for a contractual position. So that's kind of interesting that there is somebody already in this job. So maybe they'll leave you some documentation, suggestions, or maybe they're just over it, don't want to deal with this migration. And the migration itself is actually from Aleph, it says. So, and again, you don't see that detail in here, but it is in the posting that I've seen on the listserv. And it's been a long time since I've been inside Aleph, like over a decade. So maybe it's gotten more modern, but when I last looked at it, it was kind of like Sierra. You can tell it was a 20th century built software, which is fine. Like I said, maybe it's gotten better. Maybe it's easier to migrate from Aleph than it is from Sierra simply because you're within the same vendor's products. I don't know. I'll be hopeful. But you get to liaison with all these lovely people. Excellence through system and subject matter expertise. And this is the thing that's like throwing me off. I'm like, so what subject matter expertise do you need in addition to trying to juggle all these systems? So especially when we have this focus here on access service and resource sharing, which for those of you who aren't as familiar with library jobs is French for circulation and interlibrary lending. With 17 libraries, that is going to be a lot of configuration and challenges and juggling. And yeah, someone who's not great at circ, that's a lot in my brain. But all right, so working with other staff, strategic goals. So you also have to have data to evaluate whether or not you've set it up right, or whether or not you can change the way it used to be set up under Aleph. And then you have to balance. So this also is kind of interesting to me for whatever reason. Maybe I just am easily prone to giggles in the middle of my day, but balance liaising with members of the subject matter community with the demands of the operational needs of the consortium. As somebody who's done a lot of systems work, I don't know how exactly you do that because the operational needs tend to get in front of being able to do a lot of ways. Yeah, okay. The L word with your subject matter community. And I assume by subject matter community, they're talking about like the non technical services librarians. But that's not exactly like clear, and I'm not quite sure like what the liaison, yeah, would actually entail. So I don't know. Maybe it's just something as simple as like keeps in touch and posts minutes of decisions and configurations. Um, Maybe it's something more in depth. I don't know. It's yeah. So you have to have your master's degree. You have to have 3 years of professional as opposed to amateur experience in some sort of information technology services. So it doesn't necessarily library information technology, which is great. This is like a broader posting, but you do have to have the MLS to, show that you know enough that we don't have to explain to you, how book circulation works. Any sort of experience in access or resource sharing, yeah, definitely. And experience with some sort of software would be nice. And keep in mind, these are like the minimum qualifications. So if you were doing an EEOC review, these are the things like it's mostly be the minimum with 3 years professional experience. I think folks would be straining to add up once you pass the education. The minimum qualifications under knowledge, skills, and abilities are kind of expected, generic. I don't know. But then you have these lovely preferences, so content management, working knowledge of consortial environments, experience delivering presentations, which to me suggests you're going to be doing a lot of that. Not that's a bad thing. Experience, using the customer support systems, training and documentation. Yeah, probably the one you're going to. Same with, the new platform and any sort of, experience using interlibrary alone. So this is where it gets kind of strange. Like part of me is like, yay, this would be great, but because it's this non-tenure track contractual position, part of me is like, I don't know. Maybe if you just got out or were only a few years out in that pool I talked about earlier, this might be worth going and checking out or at least talking to, but I don't know. Contractual position. So you get like a rank and appointment based on whatever your expertise and relevant credentials is. And they are giving a healthy range, although if you take into the fact that you're going to be working in College Park, Maryland, I boot up the salary. I don't know. And one of the things, if you are applying for this job, I would be real stringent on asking would be like, so how does the pay actually work? Are you paid like every month? Are you paid at the end of the contract? If you are go live in May, is that the end of your contract? And you only get like X number of months of pay or 6 months of pay? Or do you have one full year contract? So at least you have some stability about what's going on. I've worked contract jobs, so they're not like terrible ways of getting experience. But this, you want to go live in about 6 months or so, and yeah, with 17 libraries in 6 months. And maybe, well, no, I'm not going to say maybe. I know this vendor, and we couldn't push our date back, so maybe a giant consortia could, but I don't see that happening. So I, I don't know. I'm on the fence about this because I know that they need this person there to get stuff done at Maryland, in Maryland. But yeah, I can see why folks are hesitant to apply for this because it's kind of like too much uncertainty. And yeah, there's anything really else down here other than, paperwork and equivalent options. So I'm going to downgrade my assessment on this. It's not exactly a bad job, but it does raise a lot of questions if you're going to go look at it. So